this week we've got a doozy of a bunch of stuff to catch up on. Just today, right, we've got Trump's Bitcoin reserve. Do we think it's a game changer or a government takeover, right? And that just happened a few hours ago. So it's something really to consider, and I've been talking about it for such a long time that I'm finally happy that it's being solidified in the news. All right, next we got 7% mortgage rates for VA loans and FHA, a lot cheaper. We're looking at 6.15, 6.25. Depends on a bunch of other variants as well. And we've got China's AI, right, which is crushing our tech stocks. But that's a whole conversation that we're going to get into. So I'm excited for this episode. I feel like I haven't been able to talk about what I really want to talk about a lot, and this is where I get to do it. So let's jump right into it. Oh man, I hope you guys are excited because I am too. I'm very excited to get into, especially Trump's the Bitcoin thing that just happened tonight. So yeah, right. So Trump's Bitcoin reserve is pretty much a modern day gold standard. If you don't know what the gold standard is, that was when gold was directly linked, basically chained to the dollar, right? And then 1971, we have Richard Nixon. He takes us off the gold standard because we needed to print more money for the Vietnam War, and it was supposed to be temporary, but it wasn't. So, anyways, we've got this BTC reserve, right? And he just signed this executive order just a few hours ago. He just signed it, and it's going to be for now the strategic Bitcoin reserve, right? I'm just thinking of it as the Federal Reserve for Bitcoin, and this goes with the narrative that I've been talking about, where Bitcoin's going to be the reserve, and then we're going to have a currency. Some people are thinking we're going to have just one currency like XRP. I think we're going to have nation currencies. I really think there's going to be a big reset in the financial system, and there's going to be a U.S. coin. There's going to be a Canada coin. You know, some countries already have these like USDC, or excuse me, USDT, and I think and USDC as well. But I think they may come down to choose one, and then there will be a big reset. Imagine this. Imagine if they wiped out all of your debt, right? They said, hey, we're going to move from the dollar to the crypto dollar, and we're going to erase all of your debt. Or maybe not. They probably won't. They're just going to say, hey, we're gonna transfer over to this new system because it's fully digital, right? Once it's fully digital, they can track everything. So your grandma can't give you $100 no more cash, right? With a wrapped up Hershey's kiss or something like that. It's not going to happen anymore, right? And that's exactly what they want. They want to track this stuff. Um, and they're gonna make it seamless. So it's gonna be so easy. You know, you don't have to when you like now when you pay with cash. I like to use a lot of cash. You're getting rushed at the supermarket, right? To for the next person, and you feel so rushed putting your money in there. And depends on the type of wallet you got. And we already know guys got wallets that are this big, I mean, phone books, pretty much all this stuff, right? And it's just gonna be more simple to pay with your phone, right? Which we already do that, right? So our system now is pretty much already a digitized crypto system to an extent, but they want to get rid of all the fiat. They want to cancel it out. And also, the fiat money system is a ledger system that is just ballooning to we're never going to pay that money back. That's the whole game. Once I realized that in economy, that all the systems are based off of ledger systems, that we're not paying this money back, that it's just a game of lending of basically who's got the potato last type thing. You know what I mean? So I see us hitting a point, especially with inflation, right? We're really getting to a point in this game that it feels like they have to reshuffle the game. And I really this is a hot take. This is a hot take. But with the research of where Bitcoin came from, you know, the roots of crypto and stuff like that, I really, look. I know some folks don't want to talk about this online, but I really feel like crypto was obviously man-made, but I feel like it was placed by a certain government, and they tested it on the black market on the Silk Road. If you know about this stuff, right? They tested it for years and years and years and years to see economically if it could work. To because I see them understanding that, hey, this ledger system, this fiat system is gonna pop eventually. It's gonna pop. And right now, what's causing it to really pop is all these countries, they want to de-dollar, and they have been de-dollarizing since 2012. BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, have, right, the BRICS coalition has come together. It's an economic coalition, but they want to de-dollar. They want to stop doing deals in the dollar, and that's the biggest thing here. Out of everything, right? People don't realize that all these wars, all this conflict, all this market movement, it really starts from banking, right? And America has had a clutch on everyone's jewels because we, right, have the dollar, and all these countries have been doing deals in the dollar. We pretty much made them. I won't get too deep into that, but we pretty much made the system, and there's SWIFT system. There's all these monetary systems that go very deep in these processes and stuff like that. Um, but this all ties together to America having the foothold with the dollar. Now that all these countries are really pushing away because they can economically, they've grown to a point that they can, that now they're banding together and they don't want to use the dollar. So now, what a coincidence that crypto is now making it has been, but more so, it's making its break into mainstream, right? So I see in the next few years, crypto being the common thing. No more dollars. They're all going to get phased out. I also see a lot of obviously hype and Bitcoin accumulation. But what I want you guys to keep an out for is that history doesn't repeat, but it sure does rhyme. And what do I mean by that? I mean by that because the Federal Reserve was made in 1913, right? We're having the strategic reserve made here in 2025. The Bitcoin strategic reserve, right? Strategic Bitcoin reserve. I don't know, but we get it, right? So almost 100 years apart, right? And then in 1933, right? So 20 years later, right? They made it illegal, right, for regular citizens to have gold. They started confiscating all this gold, right? So under Executive 6102, the government forced citizens to surrender their gold to in exchange for paper dollars at a fixed rate. Shortly after, the government revalue gold, effectively devaluing the dollar. All right. So think about that. They create the Federal Reserve. They say, hey, we're gonna stock the Federal Reserve with a bunch of gold. Right now, tonight, they said we're gonna create the strategic Bitcoin reserve. We're going to stock it with reserves. Right now, they're talking about, well, where is this reserves coming from? They're talking about a lot of it's illegally or right, illegal Bitcoin or confiscated. So when I saw confiscated in that, I thought of this. I thought of this order right here, right? Because, oh, under this though, they can confiscate if they make it illegal to have Bitcoin privately, whatever it is, right? Whether it's for you to have it in a private wallet or in a public wallet, whatever conditions they put, but they make these conditions so they can start accumulating all this Bitcoin. And like they did with the Order 6102, they'll exchange for right paper dollars, right? But they're gonna exchange for whatever coin, whether it's a country coin like USDC or USDT, or if we use something like XRP in the future, I don't know. But let's just stay with we'll call it the crypto dollar, right? So they make the strategic Bitcoin reserve. 20 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, they're saying, hey, we're gonna confiscate all the Bitcoin because we need it for the reserve. It's a country asset. It's the reserve. We need it. We will give you US, what I just call it. We will give you the crypto dollar in exchange. And it's not an ask, right? Look at the order. Google 6102. Google that order. It's not an ask. They're not asking us. And in the digital age, they're going to know. They're going to ask you, hey, you bought X amount of Bitcoin, blah, 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 this time, the whole timestamp. We see it. So where is that? Even if you put it, right, even if you took it from your public wallet and you put it on a crypto wallet into cold storage, which is pretty much a USB, but fine. But you put it in there and it's protected, has passwords, all this stuff. They're still going to know that. They're going to see that you took it off the network and you put it into cold storage. And they're going to come looking for it. So that's something to think about if you're into crypto, if you're into accumulating Bitcoin, whatever it is, I want you to really think about this and us going into the digital age where everything is seen, where your footprint is seen, detected, right? So this is getting a little bit deeper and more into tech, right? And I see this being important down the road for us. If you really want to be private about your stuff, if you're the type where, hey, I don't necessarily want my gold at the bank. I want to bury it, or I have a safe for it, or I have whatever it is, right? And you have you're on that train, of someone can either steal it from you or the government can come and take it. If you're on that train, then you're my type of person where we're both thinking, hey, we need to be really careful with how we accumulate Bitcoin, right? Through because they do a lot of KYC with these traditional, which are regular banks pretty much, but these big crypto companies like crypto.com, right? Or Binance or Coinbase, right? Those are pretty much just banks, but crypto. And they do KYC, so they do confirmation, right, of your identity. And they follow that whole trail. So in 20 years, when they come knocking, hey, you have this Bitcoin, we know you have it. Where is it? We're going to confiscate it, or we're going to impose liens on your property. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, blah, blah, blah. It's just something to think about now, right, before you start accumulating all this Bitcoin under KYC, right, with your identity, and then it's too late at that point, right? I hope I'm making sense and you're tracking what I'm tracking here. I can see history not repeating, but it's sure rhyming. It's sure rhyming. So we have to learn from these lessons. All right. So I want you to look into that. Look into Trump making the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Right. Look into Order 6102 and kind of study that because we're going to look at that over the next few years to see if any of these signs pop up that they may be trying to confiscate it or do something else to try to control it. All right. So let's see. What do we got next? What do we got next? Um, so this could lead to the government control of Bitcoin. Sure. Um, like we said, they outlawed private gold ownership. But could this in the future really restrict or regulate private Bitcoin holdings? Right. That's what I want to make sure we're understanding here. All right. This isn't any conspiracy. This is clearly we have seen this before. So this is just heed the warning. I support crypto. I support whatever you want. So just be safe. Be safe. All right. Let's see what's next here. What's next on our topics? Oh man, that was hot because that just came off the press. Um, So I'm excited to see what comes of that over this next week of all the speculation, what people are thinking. If even people mention what we just talked about, right? A lot of people, they don't know history. They're not looking back at history. They're not trying to find these trends, right? A lot of these things in life have not happened the first time ever. It's the same human issue just remodeled into something new with some new tech on it. They have the same issues in 500 BC to now, in 10,000 BC to now, a lot of the same human issues. So I'm excited to see what comes out this week about the new strategic Bitcoin reserve. So we know, as obviously I'm a realtor, I'm heavily in real estate, of course. And when Trump first came in, he was pushing heavy for interest rate cuts. Now, the last that we heard from the Federal Reserve was we're going from 4 cuts projected in this year, 2025, to 2 cuts projected. Okay, that was the last big announcement, and we're concerned of are we even going to get a cut? Are we going to get 1 cut or 0 cuts possibly? It really depends on inflation, CPI, core inflation. There's a variant of things, so we have to be vigilant with it. But the thing is for Trump to try to push the Federal Reserve to do cuts, it's not possible. Jerome Powell already mentioned it. He already commented on it. He said it's not the president's place. He has no power to do so, anything like that. Now, we know that Trump has a play of a lot of influence where if you don't necessarily do what he wants you to do, he won't forget it and he'll get you some other way, which I think is pretty grimy. And I'm not gonna say politics is a fair place, but you're influencing. You're trying to manipulate. Let's be honest about it. You have to let people lead and delegate and give them that authority in their sections, in their governments, in their branches. Um, so that's all I say on that. Um, so I don't see Trump making some crazy Hail Mary for real estate affordability, for real estate grants, it's just not going to happen. It's not, right? When you have government interjection into things like this, right, where we don't need something serious, right? It's just unaffordability. Like, that's more of a wage issue, of wages not matching inflation over time, right? We're not talking about a great financial crisis issue like '07, '08, where it was more. Look, I love my lenders. I love my lenders. But the data shows, I mean, there was some other stuff involved too, but it was more on the lending side, right? So different beasts here where, government interjection is not right. They set a lot of safeguards and they were trying to protect the consumer a lot at that time. Right now, it's, hey, we've got a lot of inflation and we got layoffs, and that's it. So there's no Trump's gonna come with a Superman cape and save the housing market. That's not how it is. This is a capitalist society, right? So on the buyer side, you may not like the prices in your area. If you're a seller in that area, you may like the prices. So it depends on which side of the fence you're on, right? So if we get you over that hump and we get you into home ownership, that is the start right there. And that just begins to snowball into more properties and more equity over time, building your wealth. Rather, you could be on the other, and that's how you get to the other side of the fence. But you have to walk from this side to get to this side, right? And then you start seeing on the ownership side, okay, well, this makes sense now. I can't sell someone my house for this price because that's not what it's worth in this market. And it's all just capitalism. And it's just, where are you at? Are you on this side of the fence or this one? And have you put in the work and the diligence to get from this side as a renter to this side as an owner, where either you own the property and or you own the property and you're renting it out to someone else. So just things to consider, right? Unaffordability is not going to get saved by a politician, by anything like that, right? It's not. There may be a correction that comes through, but the biggest thing that we've seen is wages. Wages have not tracked inflation. Look at the data. That's all it is, right? In 1960, 1970, it was a lot easier to have I would say a standard job, have possibly a wife, have kids, have a home, and have a car. You work hard, you level up, great. Nowadays, we've seen there's such a huge disparity, and it's because of inflation. That's it. Inflation and wages not matching that, right? So the value of the dollar has been shrinking, right? Shrinking over time. Along with that, your pay hasn't been going up at all. So you have both of those at the same time. What are we expecting? $10 is not going as far as it did in 1968 to 2025. That's the truth right there. So I don't want you to think that affordability is going to be solved by some random law, by Democrats, by Republicans, by whoever. It's not going to be saved like that in this capitalistic society where we don't have necessarily core real estate issues like something with bad loans or something with bad appraisers, bad valuations. We don't have anything at the core of real estate that is necessarily wrong. It's just where we're at in this economic cycle where we're in an economic downturn. And this is just what happens with downturns, where unaffordability, right, comes into play. You got people making less money, inflation going up, prices going up slightly. It's what happens. But we like to fight through affordability, and that's why I tell people, look, if you want home ownership, let's have the conversation. We have to have the conversation, see where you're at so we can get you where you want to be, right? If that's, hey, we got to increase your credit score, great. If we got to decrease your debt to income ratio, great. If we got to save some money, great. If we got to do that, but at least we're having the conversation, setting the sights, because you have too many people that wait. Oh, I need to save more money. Oh, I'm not ready because my credit. I'm not. But you need to talk with myself and a lender. We're professionals. We give you the game plan, right? We're the coaches, and we give you the game plan to execute. And it could take a month, it could be 3 weeks, or excuse me, it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be 2 years, or you could be ready today. That's what a lot of people are especially surprised about VA owners as well, and people that qualify for FHA, is that they don't need anything down or very close to nothing down, right? Especially with VA, people, they think I need a perfect credit score. I need this much saved up. I need this. I need. I'm like, man, you come. Would it come with a sick? Look, there's no minimum credit score when it comes to the VA loan handbook. And with these lenders and VA loans, debt to income ratio could be a lot higher. It could be 60%. It could be 65%. It could be 60%. Right? Debt to income ratio for a regular loan maybe around 33%. Really pushing it 25% maybe, but VA loan is different. So you'd be really, really, really surprised, and you may be eligible right now to get into the property that you want. Now, why is time of the essence, right? If we're looking at standard increases year over year in real estate, let me ask you this: if you're thinking right now, I would like to save more money before I purchase a home, I'm gonna ask you this question: can you save $22,000 or more per year? If you can't, you need to bite the bullet now and let's get started on the journey. If you can, okay, okay. If you can make more, now 22 is the mark. So for me, I'd want to save more. If I can save 30, okay, it definitely makes sense. But if you're close, 23, 24, 25, 26, we might as well move and make the move now rather than later. At least assess the situation. Let's take a look at all the finances, everything that's set up, and let's have the game plan. But every year you wait, the price of that property is going up $22,000. So unless you can save that offset, and even more so, like I said, I would say 30, if anything, right? Because why don't you want to be in a home sooner? What is it? Fear? Embarrassment? Maybe shame? Do you think your credit score isn't good? You don't want to show me, maybe, right, your friend? Dude, I don't care about your credit score. I don't care about any of the stuff you got going on. I care absolutely not. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to help you get where you need to get. And that stuff, the finance, I don't take a look at that. The lender's going to take a look at that, right? I only recommend military veteran lenders. They're going to take a look at that and formulate the game plan. And then between him and I, him or her, and I, we work together to coach you, to give you the instructions of this is exactly how we're going to execute. Hey, you're ready right now. You were so scared, and you thought you needed to save money all this time. No, you're ready right now. You're ready to purchase a property that's 750. Actually, you want to go look this weekend? Let's sign this buyer's agreement so we have a contract between us, and then I can go show you these properties. Let's go. Let's get you pre-qualified. Let's pull your COE for VA, right? Your certificate of entitlement. Let's get this ball rolling, because what are we waiting on? What are we really waiting on? To be comfortable another year? You have to jump in, right? And we will tell you you're ready. I've recently spoke to a client, not ready. Not ready. I'm not going to tell you to jump in the deep end if you are not ready to jump in. And if there's any question about it, that's why the lender and I were there. And go ahead, clear to jump. You're jumping in the deep end. We're watching. Anything that's going on in the deal, that's what we're there for. We're hired professionals to help you navigate through this deal and through this process in your life, whether it's your first home, your second one, your third one, or your 50th one, right? We're here to provide you value and to help you through this process. But the biggest thing I need you to understand is action. Action, taking action is the biggest key. The people that put more offers in, that are aggressive, that are looking at offers, that are doing research, that are on their stuff, they have more success. People would call it luck. No, you just have a higher probability because they're showing up. They're taking action. So I ask you, are you taking action? Is this what you really want, or do you just want a home because that's what you think you should have? Because that's what society told you, right? No, that's not what it is. You have to think about what this home is going to provide you. And there's different types of homes for different types of life. You could be a single bachelor and you're living downtown. You want to buy a nice condo. Great. And then you may find a partner and you may get engaged and then you guys maybe move to something else, or you stay in the condo. You have enough room. But now, hey, I got a kid knocking. I don't necessarily want to be in the condo, and if we want some space and we want to get a dog, okay, let's look at a two-story nice location. Let's say in Denver, right? In Denver proper, with a backyard and a front yard and a two-car garage, or whatever you want, and then you keep expanding from there, right? You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait. The opportunity is here now, and it provides you shelter. And over these years, let's say you get into a place now, over 3 years, you're building equity. Every day that you're in that property, you're building equity, right? As long as you're paying onto it, maybe you're house hacking, maybe you're also doing extra payments a year, one extra payment a year, that can go a long way. Maybe you're paying down, right? All these things, and you're building equity over time, living in this property, because time is one of the most important factors, right? Time is, if not the eighth wonder of the world, which, I mean, comes into compounding interest. All right, when I say time, I'm relating to compounding interest. All right, with compounding interest, we need time to really have this long tail curve that eventually then shoots up like crazy, and it's gaining on returns, but we need the time. That's why the boomers have most of the wealth and own most of the properties, because they've had time. They've stayed in the property for 15, 20, 35, 40 years, right? It's time. It is time. And for them, subjectively, it was easier to acquire a property because inflation, wealth, wage gap, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We have to still step into ownership no matter what. No, no, no excuse. No, oh, things are unaffordable. Things are this. Things are. That's fine. You can be that person. Lay down in the street and just give up. Wave your white flag. That's fine. But there are us out there, the go-getters, that want to acquire these properties, that want to rent out properties and build cash flow and build appreciation, and maybe not even get into it like that on the investor standpoint, but you just want to do this for you and your family. Buying one property every few years, right? Every few years, maybe renting them out, or maybe they then go to your family members, right? Your kids are growing up, they're having their own families, right? We have to think about this. This is a vehicle, even though it's a home, it's a vehicle to wealth. And in America, it's been the number one driver, right? For the average person to achieve wealth is through real estate, right? Stocks are great, business is great, finance is great as well. Crypto is great, sure. They're all pillars that come together. They all come together to these four pillars of real estate, business, stocks, and finance. And between those four, that's where you build your foundation of wealth. So don't wait. There's no reason to wait to at least have the conversation, right? And I like to think about it like this: when you were a kid and you wanted something really bad, and it was on your Christmas list, you thought about it. You wrote it down. You know how much it is. You know where it gets sold. You know what color you want it in. You know what size. All these things, right? So if you're truly serious, are you looking at properties online? Are you really looking at your finances, your credit, where you would really like to live? Are you talking to me weekly, looking at my watching my content, right? Asking me questions about stuff, because that's what someone who actually wanted to be a homeowner would do, right? They would be on homeowning, on buying a home, like a kid waiting for Christmas, hoping that they get this bike. They know what, and here's the thing too, is these kids, they don't just leave it up to hope. They're picking up a mail route, they're doing chores, they're doing this, they're putting their pennies in their jar, and they know, hey, this bike is $105. All right, they're working the calculations, right? So I just want you to think about it and question yourself. Do you really want to be a homeowner in 2025, 2026? Do you really want it? Or are you going to be comfortable renting until it becomes excruciably painful, right? Or it gets to the point where you have to, your family size is growing. But even then, you see families, 2, 3 kids in an apartment. I don't think that's right. I do not think that's right at all. At all. Right? So we need to get you to the point of understanding this is the best decision for wealth generation, for shelter, for wealth accumulation through appreciation, and possibly through cash flow as well. right? A lot of people don't realize, hey, depending on the type of property, depending on your investment style, all these considerations, you could build cash flow. Well, what's cash flow? Cash flow is the amount of money that's coming in every single month, right? And I like to, after all expenses, everything else, that's how much money is coming. Oh, this property is making me $500 a month, $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month, $50 a month in some places, right? That is cash flow coming in that could replace your current active income, right? I'm not going to call it necessarily passive income. It determines on how involved you are with the management, all this stuff, some variables, but that's income coming in, right? That's cash flow. Then we have appreciation over time, which can be accessed before the sale through a HELOC based off of the appreciate if it goes up over time, or on the sale, right? And that's a big chunk. Usually your cash flow is coming in $500, $750, $1,000, great, but you're making big appreciation on the sale or off of a HELOC, right? So the property went up from you bought it for five, over a few years, however many years, it went up to 800, right? So now you can pull a HELOC and there's some equity in the property. Now you can pull a loan of 100,000, let's say, and go buy another property, or pay for your kids' college, or pay a car off, or pay whatever medical bills, right? All these other things. I like to say let's invest it in something else, but a lot of times people will pull money out of their properties instead of using credit cards. Why would you use your credit cards if you run out of your savings and your revolving money, and now you have to tap into credit cards? Well, let's take a look at tapping into your home equity. So people don't realize that this home is not only their shelter, but it's also their bank in a way, right? So all these considerations, I really want you to consider. Are you going to be a homeowner in 2025 or 2026 or even 2027? And if so, let's have the conversation. There's no obligation, there's no contracts to sign, anything like that. You guys have my phone number. It's all over social media. It's all over. Just find me. Give me a call. 720 720. That's the zip code. I'm not repeating. 720 605 9212. 720 605 9212. Text me, call me, beat me if you want to talk to me. We'll talk about your real estate situation. There's no pressure. You don't even got to tell me your name. Let's talk about it, right? I'm here to serve you. If you're military, right, active, reserve, National Guard, anything, everything, Coast Guard, I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. Give me a call and let's talk about not only real estate, but we can also talk about business, finance, stocks. We can talk about your career in the military, your career post military, anything and everything. I'm here basically to advise, to be that advisor that you didn't have when you were getting out of the military, or when you were buying your first home, or when you were thinking about getting into stocks, or maybe when you first got into business, right? I'm here for you to connect you however possible with my network and whatever little knowledge I got in this world about anything. I'm just here to be of service to you. All right, so let's keep going with some crazy topics we got today. We got a lot here. Okay, so we've talked enough about Trump. I'm sure some of y'all have seen China's AI that came out, DeepSeek, which punched our market in the gut. Man, but it was pretty much a blip. It wasn't anything too crazy big. They said, hey, we pretty much built what you built with a fraction of the time, a fraction of the resources, a fraction of the money, and that's just that's tech. That's just what happens. And but the markets react in a certain way because everyone's like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? And it's just like, oh, that's what happens when you're first. The cost of things are a lot. You know what I mean? And when you're doing it first and someone else can tap into your stuff, you'd be crazy to think if China isn't spying heavily on all of our stuff. They are. I served with someone who got picked up for espionage. So they're looking at all this stuff, right? And it just becomes cheaper to make. You already saw this guy, the first person make all the mistakes, right? So you're taking notes. You're like, oh, okay, man. What they built for $100, I built for $10, and I built it in the 10th amount of time, 10th amount of resources. So we're better. But that's just how tech is. So don't let stuff like this really shock you. But if you're investing in the market, you can know retail psychology and time this, right? Some people made a lot of money off of this, off of doing puts, off of this DeepSeek AI announcement, and they made money off the market going downwards, right, for that short amount of time, and it's still plummeting, but not because of DeepSeek. I don't want you to think that the market is plummeting because of DeepSeek. That is not the case. But when we got our initial shock at first, yes, it was because people in the psyche with DeepSeek of just not understanding tech. All right. Um, so yeah, that announcement almost wiped out 600 billion from Nvidia's valuation. Nvidia is the darling of stocks. If you haven't heard, for the last 5 years, Nvidia produces all these chips, all these computing power, which is what's driving the world. You know, the AI and computing power, the ability to think and to for some of these models to do processes, if they can replicate that, right, they're getting rid of us. They're firing so many people because they're implementing AI. Just think about it. They're loading infrastructure. They're making so many data centers. They're investing billions. All companies investing billions into AI. Think about it. Think about it. All right. So the housing market it's always in the news because people always need to buy houses or sell houses, right? Um, we saw a blip in mortgage rates, which has suppressed demand some. And I'm going to say this: every market is local, right? You have a national market, but your local market can be extremely different, even by county to zip code to zip code. So I want that to be clear with a lot of these speculators and people on YouTube, they they speak broadly, and there are some general trends, sure, of course, but there are very hyper local markets that can do extremely well while everyone else is doing horrible, and there's also places that are extremely volatile and that will not do well while other places are having a good old time. Um, so we're around right 7%, and let me do this live. I like to always do this live. People may ask like, oh, well, what's the rate right now? Let me look it up live. I like to get you the live number here. Okay, so 30-year fixed is 6.79. Now that's a 30-year fixed. We're not talking about a VA loan or an FHA. Okay, so we have a FHA 30-year. Oh, hold up, this is closed. It was at 6.19, right? So 30-year fixed conventional, 6.79. We have a 30-year FHA, 6.19. That's a point 0.6 spread off of a conventional to an FHA. Next, we have the 30-year VA, which is a 6.22. Okay, so that's only a 0.03 difference, right, between the FHA and the VA. But the bonus of the VA is no private mortgage insurance, right? On your FHA loan, you have permanent private mortgage insurance, which is a couple $100s a month extra, and that's insuring the mortgage. So it's not homeowner's insurance, it's not a home warranty, it's insurance on the loan that the lender makes you get. But because your VA and part of the loan is already guaranteed, there's no PMI. All right. Now there's the big thing of 0 down on a VA loan. Okay, so that's the plus, of course. And the guidelines are less stringent, like I mentioned before. FHA, like we said, 6.19, and it has a down payment of, let's say, 3.5%. That's the down payment for FHA. All right. So those are the pros and cons, but that's the current rate. Right now they're saying, oh, they're pushing sevens. Okay, well, for who? VA, FHA, conventional, for who? Right? Because VA, we're looking at 6.22. So something to consider. Something to consider here. So when they talk about stuff crashing, rising, all this stuff in the real estate market, I just really tap in with me. Ask your specific questions. Right? We need specific questions. Just, is the market going up or is it going down? Like I said, it's very market specific, very local to your market, right? So if you want me to pull a report, hey, can you pull a market activity report for this zip code that I'm looking to buy in? Great. Send me your email, tell me the zip code, I'll send it right to you. And you can look at the report, right? And that is real time right there. That's not, oh, this is a report from last year or from 3 months ago. No, this is the data from right now showing you what's actively happening. All right. If this makes sense to y'all, if this is connecting, if this is what you want to watch, right? Talking about real estate, business, finance, and stocks, please make sure to not forget to like and subscribe. Hit that button right there. Set your notifications on so that you can see when I post. And I post pretty much every single day. And we have our show every week, right? So please like, subscribe, comment any questions you got, and share with your friends and family, folks that you care about, folks that you also want to see succeed in real estate, business, stocks, and finance. All right, let's keep it going here. So we just talked about mortgage rates. Um, we're going to talk about the R word. We're going to talk about the R word up in here. Rick James. No, I'm kidding. So, recession. We're going to talk about recession, okay? So, could a black swan event trigger a recession? I was in a class today, a stats class, a data and stats class, and I was asking the professor about this. And I'll tell you what he said before we really dive into it. He mentioned he would be really worried for high levels of unemployment for sustained years. So about 8% for about 2 to 3 years, right? Now, we've seen the unemployment data come out. We've seen them readjust it every single time, right? We need to also pay attention to where we're looking at this data because the BLS data is junk. What's better than the BLS data is the ADP data, and then what's better than that comes afterwards, lags quite a few months, but I believe it's the QECW, which has better data, way more, excuse me, I'm just going to say better data. All right, cool. Um, so using all of that, right? We use all the data to try to understand which way unemployment may be going, and we've seen all these layoffs. We just talked about AI taking jobs, right? We're seeing less capital being injected into these markets. We're seeing um, debt, consumer debt go up, right? Not the government debt, our debt, credit card debt, delinquencies, right? These are all just the makings of a downturn. And these things all come together to then create bigger events, right? So what he mentioned, like I just said, was about 8% unemployment and sustained for about 2 to 3 years. So I asked you, I asked him, do you see unemployment going up or down by December this year? He said up. And I said, what about 2026? And he kind of motioned like he thinks it may be up or very close to level. To me, this very much sounds like the 90s, right? If we study history and we look at the tech boom of the introduction of all this tech, right? They had to load all the hardware up into all these centers, all these buildings. That's what they're doing now with data centers. They have to build the infrastructure, right? And then it gets into software and cloud stuff and all this other stuff. But right now, all these companies, they're buying data centers, they're buying racks, they're buying all the stuff from NVIDIA, from everywhere, so they can get their hands on the chips, right? Because if we've ran into a chip shortage, but if there's a major chip shortage and you can't make chips, you can't make weapons, you can't put them on missiles, you can't do all these things. That's what they really want a lot of these chips for, right? They're covering it on the consumer side with AI on your phone, right? You're gonna be able to do this and do this on Canva and ChatGPT and like, yeah, that's cool. That is cool, and that's a lot of consumerism. That is a big part of the market. But a lot of this is more covered in tech. This is like the space race, right? That we had with Russia, which really was more about technology, right? It wasn't really about going to space. It was more about tech. It was more about how are we building quicker than them? Because if we have the technical edge on them, we will win in warfare, in tech, in anything, right? So if we have that leg up, you I'm not going to say you control the world, but you have a leg up. You have a leverage in just computing power. That's just what it is, right? Could compare if someone had a computer from the 90s and give you a computer today, who's going to do a function a lot quicker and more efficiently? I could we would most likely put all of our eggs on the newer model because of that, right? And while this older computer in the 90s is still processing the problem, this one in 2025 already shot this plane down, right? So it's all about tech. The whole AI race, all of it is all connects back to tech. So when it comes to this black swan in the recession, I really feel like we're in the year 2000, right? What happened in the year 2000 here? And let me make sure I'm on track here. Um, when was oh like okay. So, right, Bush Jr. was inaugurated in 2001. Right? What happened in 2001 8 months later? Okay? We had a catastrophic event that rocked the stock market, rocked the entire world, and then put us into a 20-year war, right? Which war is good for countries, right? Oh, hold up. I got an issue here with my camera. Your device is, damn, bro, my device is too hot. Um, oh man, hold up. Okay. We had a technical issue here for a second. My camera's getting too hot. I don't know how that's possible, but it's getting too hot somehow. Hold up. Let me do this. Okay. I think I solved it. I think I solved it. All right. So let's go back. We were just talking about how Bush Jr., right, was inaugurated in 2001. And then I want you to think about, well, what happened after 2001? Not after 2001. What happened 8 months later? Right? We have a huge catastrophic attack. It rocks the stock market, rocks the entire world. We get thrown into a 20-year war, right? All these defense companies are churning money, right? Churn. Defense is where it's at. Who pays defense? Government contracts, government money. You have to follow all of this money. Follow the trail. I'm telling you, follow the money. So all this money going into all these defense companies, which is what they want, right? They want to funnel money, pretty much, along with whatever their mission is in that area. Our last war was over oil and positioning in the Middle East because we didn't have a position there. Now the new war is pretty much over data and compute power. So that's the new war. If you didn't know, data is the new oil, and it's flowing. It is flowing like crazy because with all this data, they know exactly what to sell you. They know your behaviors. They know what time you go to sleep. They know what you want to buy, right? Just how a lot of people they think of. Well, I was thinking of buying these leggings, and then they just popped up on my phone. It's like that's not how it happened. They've been pushing this out to you. They know your patterns. They know what you like. They know what you don't like. But it's finally you just saw it after 5 or 6 or 7 times. It's usually 7 times that then it clicks, right? And you thought, how did it know? Because they're in your phone. They're looking at all your data. They know what time you unlock your phone. They know how many times you unlock your phone. They know what you spend most of your time looking at. These cameras can even look at your eyes to because it knows the phone knows what's on the screen. So now it's matching where your eyes are looking on the screen. You don't even have to tap anything. It knows. Oh, you looked down over here. Most likely it was this thing that I was showing you. Anyways, we're getting real deep into that. Real deep into that. But I just want you to think about, right, what other time period in the past would you think we're in, right? With all the things that are going on right now, I'm really betting on we're on the year 2001. I really feel like there's something impending that is really going to drive us to do something very drastic, similar to what we did in 2001 with we have the Patriot Act. Google that. I want you to take a look at that if you're worried about your privacy and stuff like. Google the Patriot Act after the catastrophic event that happened in September, right? Your data, your privacy changed forever, right? TSA changed forever. All these big things really, really changed forever and then leads us into war, right? So they use all this fear, right? Right? Who knows what it may be? A U.S. drone attack, U.S. Who knows? Who knows what it could be, right? But it needs to be big enough, like the one in September of '01. It needs to be that big in order for all of us to come together as a nation and to be emotional and to say, let's go fight them, whoever it is. Let's go fight the Russians or the Chinese, or and that's how we get into another 20-year war over resources. And it's literally these people playing Monopoly with us. They're not on the battlefield with you and I, with me and your son, with me and you, right? With your cousin, with your daughter, with your son. They're not out there on. They never have to get out of their suits. They're playing chess with gold pawns that are us. And they're moving defense contracts, and they're moving this money and banking and all these other things, and it's all just a big game. So my thing is I'm not here to stop the machine. I'm here to be a small, agile fish that can swim between the sharks and the whales and get what I need and then some for me and my family. That's it. I'm not here to say that the system is rigged. The system needs to be changed. The system is so corrupted. Blah blah blah. Look at history. Look at history. Look, I'm all for revolution and fighting back against a tyrannical government and doing what you got to do, 1,000%. But when it comes to this money game, this capitalist society, it's a game, and you have to figure out the game and learn how to swim in it. Right? There's no the things should be this way. No, it's what is reality. Face reality in the face. Figure out your game plan and get to it, because that's where most people are stuck. They're not. They don't want to accept the reality, and then they're not formulating a game plan to play in the game. They're just looking at the Monopoly board and being like, I can't win anyways, so or I don't want to learn the rules, so I'm just gonna hang out. And you never leave the first square. You never acquire any property. You never go past go. You never do anything. So think about it. All right. Let's keep moving here. So, like I said, black swan event could trigger recession. I see a lot of unemployment leading up to this. I like it would be a ton of layoffs for the next who knows, however many months, maybe even a year. Just a ton of layoffs, ton of layoffs, ton of layoffs, and then something big happens. Something big happens. So think about it. Think about it. We're gonna be prepared. We're gonna be prepared. I'm gonna update you about it. But you gotta make sure also that you're liking and subscribing and putting your notifications on, so I can make content that actually connects with you, that you are enjoying, and that is providing you value. Because at the end of the day, if my content isn't providing you value, I'm just talking to camera for no point. And I'm not the type that just wants to hear myself talk at all, right? You know those people that make meetings for meetings on top of meetings and meetings and all. And no, we're not here for that. So let me know. Let me know if my content is providing you value or not. Leave your questions. Like we said, like, share, subscribe, tell everybody. Tell your dog, your cat. You gotta watch this every single week. All right, let's keep moving. I need some water. Just get. Oh man. Whew. All right. So this last week, the biggest things that I would say that really came up is obviously the Trump show that's going on, right? With every single day, we've got some going on. It's the first, right, full month. I get it. It's a lot of stuff, and we have to stay up to date on it. But we need to make sure we're only focusing on things that affect our wallets, right? So if it affects your investments, I want you to pay attention to it. If it doesn't, it's just trash. It's emotional. It's clickbait. It's all this other stuff. Please do not get caught up in these arguments with people and these discussions. We're not here trying to change no one's minds. No one's mind. No one's gonna change our minds. Look, we're not here to bicker with folks about emotional stuff. I care about. I don't care if it's left, right, middle, up or down. It doesn't matter. I care about what is it doing for our investments, right? Show me the data. What is this going to do? Have we seen this before? What can we possibly project forward? Or at least can we have pathways to mitigate, right? And that's what we try to do here. We have these open conversations. We make it normal to talk about stuff like this, right? I would rather talk about things like this than talk about the Lakers. And I love the Lakers. They're doing great. Luka and LeBron, come on. Like, they're probably going to win it. But I'm going to tell you, I'd rather talk about this because this can make me money. Now, I know there's someone watching this right now and saying, well, I sports bet. I do. Okay, look. Show me your returns. Show me your returns on sports betting. How consistent is it? And do you own an asset at the end of the day? I mean, you're making money, but do you own an asset? No. Okay. All right. So I would rather talk about this, right? I want to talk about real estate, business, stocks, and finance. Anything, everything else, drama, all this other stuff. I am good. There's a time and a place for that, but we really want to change our lives with wealth, and we want to level up as people. So you have to surround yourself with people that are talking about the topics that you find interesting. And that's as simple as it is. It doesn't need to be any more complex. And you shouldn't let people shame you in talking about wealth or anything. A lot of times they're broke, and that's why. And they never want to figure out their own problems and solve their issues. And they hate that you're working on that, right? So don't let these people close you in. If you ever feel like that, you're in the wrong rooms. Let's get connected and let's get you in the right rooms. All right, let's see. So the U.S. China trade war. First of all, China came out and said we're ready for any type of war. They said we're about it. We are about it any which way, from Sunday to Sunday, from sundown to the next sundown. Bring it on, and they're ready for it, right? We see these tariffs come in. We have pushback from Canada. We have pushback from all of our allies. And just a few days after they finally go in, boom, we're reversing them. Not all of them, not all of them, but some of them, right? So it's something to think about. So China and their China and our trade war, which started Trump's first term, right? Then we have the COVID thing going crazy and stuff like that. But I really want you to realize that China's number two, and they've been gunning for the number one spot for decades. It's all they've been working towards. Sorry, and that's why I question COVID. Right? If you were number two, if you were number two and you have the chance to shake the board up, to be like, I got nothing to lose. I'm number two. If anything, this can only benefit me, right? And then they were so quick on it. They were so quick and clean about it. I don't know if that's their culture. Me growing up, I saw some people. I'm not going to describe them, but I seen some people that wore masks on the bus. I was always on the city bus, so they got masks, they got gloves. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's a part of their culture, but just what I seen after COVID, they were immediately on it. They were fumigating streets. I ain't never seen that here in America once. I ain't seen no fumigating of streets with COVID vaccine, whatever they were using, Fabuloso. Who knows what they were using in there at that time before the vaccines were out? Clorox, like Trump said, bleach. Who knows? But they were on it. A little suspicious that it just broke out and then they jump right on it. But I just want you to know that China's moving. I'm not saying that they're necessarily malicious towards us, but they definitely are. They're doing a lot of spying and stuff like that. But they want to be number one. They want to come for our spot, and that has really sparked the trade war, right? Because China, we've given them a lot of our trade and almost all of our manufacturing, and they got to the point where they realized that, and they got us. They said, "Oh, hold up, we make everything. We make your American flags. We make this and that. We got you." Right? So let's consider this. Let's consider this, right? When it comes to the semiconductor ban, right? We banned Nvidia from letting Nvidia sell certain chips, right, and server racks and stuff like that to China because we don't want China to catch up with us and have the same tech as us, right? So that's why we start imposing trade wars and we start imposing tariffs and all these things. But China, they're smuggling chips over like it's fentanyl. They're smuggling chips to China so they could build all their systems and keep up with us. You know what I mean? So I love semiconductors. I love the tech space. Those stocks like Nvidia, like I mentioned before, have been driving the market like crazy. But I feel like the semiconductor boom may be weaning off. We are bringing a lot of that manufacturing back to America. We have places like Ohio and Arizona. They're creating a lot of facilities for chip manufacturing. And we passed the CHIPS Act, which is billions of dollars coming to American companies like Intel, and Dell to really work on chips and bring it here. We have some companies like TSMC also. So like just to sum this up, America's big focus is how do we bring chip manufacturing here to America? Why? Because Taiwan makes over 90% of all the chips. Taiwan is right outside of China. China considers Taiwan to be China. That's their own deal, right? But we've already said, Biden said, hey man, if China moves on Taiwan, he said it's over. We will, man, Taiwan will not. They would rather level Taiwan than let America take all of Taiwan or let China take all of Taiwan because of the technology there. You have to really understand these machines are incredible. These nanometer machines are incredible and they cost a lot of money and the tech is really exclusive and only certain companies know how to make them and the chip space is there's people that design them, there's people that make them, there's people that all distribute them, fab them, right? You have fab chip, all these things. But what I want you to focus on is the conflict with us in China is mainly driven by these chips for computing power because computing power can replace humans and it can do work. That is the gist of it, right? If you can do work, we want that. We want energy, right? That's why we're transitioning to nuclear so that we can support all of this electrical demand from AI, all these data centers right now. It's all going into server racks. It's all going to these data centers, and now we have companies like Microsoft buying, I believe it was Microsoft buying 3 Mile Island to support their AI systems. So they buy this whole 3 mile old radioactive site, nuclear site, and hey, we're gonna turn it all back on, or we're gonna get the power running, and we're gonna supply it to our data centers because they need to, right? So you have to really understand that we're going head to head with China over microchips, like I said, which is compute power, which is action, which is performance, which replaces humans, and which can process way quicker than a lot of the old systems that we have, and that's just important in war, economy, in everything, right? If you got slow systems, you are behind. So that's why we've got that going on. China also doesn't want to use the dollar anymore, so there's that, of course, but that just adds on to it. It's just a lot of companies are tired of the U.S. They're tired of our run. They're like, you guys have had it good for like 80 years now, okay, almost 100. Like, that's it. We're wrapping this up. We need a chance too. So just keep your eyes open for that as well. Let's see here. Let's see what else we got. Apparently, there's going to be veteran benefits expansion, which what they just announced 80,000 layoffs at the VA. 80,000 layoffs at the VA. I don't know how we're gonna have a major overhaul. I mean, there's gonna be a major overhaul. I'm gonna tell you that much. But I don't know if it's gonna be an expansion. If anything, we're gonna decrease in size, and I feel like there's gonna be a lot of pain. There's gonna be a lot of privatization to private companies, of course, which could make the VA system more efficient. Right? I believe that. I believe the private sector of things can make it more efficient, but it's the private sector. They're always focused on their bottom line, right? So we really have to consider this. Um, and is it really gonna be good? Who are these contracts gonna go to? I'm not here to choose this side or that side. I'm here to ask, is the service really gonna get better? Is it? Because when we strip the government and we privatize everything, right? So we're privatizing government benefits, or at least the access of government benefits, right? Those two just don't, to me, don't play very well. I would get it if maybe I worked at a private company. Oh, I work at a private company and I have another private company that services my health care and blah 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 for my retirement. Yeah, I get that. But when we go from government to private, it yeah, I just don't I don't trust it. Was the government doing a great job in the first place? I don't think so. But I don't think the alternative is, hey, let's jump out of the plane with no plan and just, pretty much rile everything up. That it's we need a plan. We need a plan before we delete the first plan. Let's because at least we have something here, right? And I'm a VA hospital user. I seek services all the time, and it's incredibly difficult now. So I would love the system to get better on the private side, but the private side has never shown me real efficiency, real value for the people, right? And if it is, you have to think about who it's for, right? Think about just general healthcare now. We're not talking about VA healthcare specific, but think of general, regular healthcare. The more you can pay, the better your service, right? Right? If you can pay a premium of $20,000 a month for whatever, I'm sure you're going to get a lot better service than maybe what you pay $500 a month on your work plan. So this, when it comes to privatization, it still comes down to, okay, well now it's just a private company. They still suck, and we still run into, well, if you have more money, you're going to get better service. And with when it comes to these veteran government benefits, no, you should be getting great service. Like you're paying a ton of money for health insurance. Why not? Tell me why not. There's too many people. There's not enough people trained. The VA doesn't want to pay out of town doctors enough money or something like that. I really want us to dive into these questions, and all I care about is, will the VA system improve? That's all I care about. What we kind of don't need is a bunch of layoffs during this time in our economy, right? It's really what we don't need. Now, I also understand that markets are extremely cyclical, and sometimes you got to rip the band aid off. And if this is them ripping the band aid off, I get it. I just don't know if doing a lot of it at the same time is really where it's at. If we did phases over let's say the next 4 years or 3 years, right? Great. But if let's say 80,000 people, workers at the VA is the total number, right? Oh, okay. Let's do 20K a year, or if we're gonna do it over 3 years, let's do however much, that is 20 and some change, right? Instead of boom the straight 80, right? Plus all the other thousands of workers that have been laid off across the entire government and private companies. We're forgetting about 2023, 2024. We're forgetting that we just came from record high unemployment in COVID. Let's not forget that. Just because you may have a job, may that doesn't mean that everyone's got a job, right? We have to be serious about this. We really have to be serious and take everything into consideration. And then don't forget, AI is knocking on the door. That's why we're seeing all these layoffs. AI is knocking on the door, and these companies are getting ready to set up this infrastructure. And once they got the systems up, humans out. Once the systems are up, humans are out. So let's plan for it. Let's have future foresight to think about these things, and to really protect ourselves in our careers as well. You have to think about, are you in a career that can be replaced by AI, that can be replaced by tech, right? Think about it. They told a lot of programmers and devs, hey, this is the most secure field ever. This is great. Yeah, possibly, starting in the 90s, 80s, yeah, you had a good run. But over time, some functions get replaced. And please do not believe that I'm saying that programmers and devs are going to be completely replaced. That is not the case. A lot of times AI makes their functions just easier. These are just tools, right? But what I want you to consider is your skills that you have, and are they applicable, right? Can they grow, right? If we're seeing cashiers replace. Tell me, you think what? Because you say good morning and thank you, and here's your change to someone. They've already replaced that in many places. There's dispensers that pull out your money, take your money, all this stuff. So think about, are your skills replaceable, and can your skills adapt into this new industry? You don't want to be a coal miner when electricity is coming out, right? You need, if you know this is coming, I suggest you take some classes in electricity and maybe cut your hours at the coal mine. You know, you need to learn to progress, to grow. The world is going to keep growing and it's going to keep moving forward. And if you don't keep up with the times, you're going to get left behind. It's as simple as that. All right. What else do we have going on this week, man? It's like a reality show. America's a reality show. We're gonna look back, and I'm gonna tell people, you know, I'm gonna tell people that this is like Jersey Shore, you know, in a way. Is Man, who Donald Trump would be who the Mike the situation. Man, this is a reality show. Okay, let's keep talking about what we got going on here. Um, let's see. Yes. So we spoke about earlier housing affordability crisis, right? So the housing affordability crisis, and more states are pushing. Some of you may have heard of NIMBY, not in my backyard, but now in some places we're hearing YIMBY, which is yes in my backyard. So a growing number of states are passing pro-development, which is yes in my backyard, YIMBY laws to combat the housing shortage, right? Areas like Cali, Texas, and Massachusetts, they're loosening zoning laws. So here in Denver, we had the additions of ADUs. So a lot of people are adding ADUs on their properties. Great. The ADU can be separate income. That can be $1,500, $2,000. It can be whatever you want, whatever your market calls for of extra income coming into your property and making best use of it. But you need zoning laws that allow you to do this. So with density, you know, they don't want too many people building too close to each other, all these things, unless it's a multifamily, all these conditions, but allowing us to build ADUs and build additions, I'm not going to say solves an affordability issue or a density issue at all, but it definitely does help. And I think it gives a lot of homeowners freedom, and it gives us the ability to maybe make some cash flow on the property, or even stay afloat. You may just need the money to stay afloat on your current mortgage because your insurance went up and your property taxes went up, right? Even if you own the property outright, you still have to pay your insurance and property taxes, and they could and your HOA if you have one, and they could foreclose if not. So having an ADU could provide that additional income if you're on a fixed income, something like that, right? So those are some things to think about there. But zoning is incredibly important, and a lot of people don't realize how politics plays a heavy game in real estate because zoning, politics, the counties, all these things, all these people, even though if they have no experience in real estate, they get into these positions and they have control. They have control. That's why you have to build relationships. And that's all I'll say on that. You have to build relationships when it comes to this type of industry. And we're talking about changing zoning laws, changing all these things are very difficult and embedded in the local community, in the county, and getting it moved in a timely manner. You know, a lot of builders fight with them. A lot of folks, they have folks specifically to handle the county zoning and permitting and all of that stuff. Um, Next, okay, so next I want to talk about these two companies. These two companies here, and actually their owner a little bit. Oof, I don't know if you guys heard that, but oof. Oh man. All right. Ownership is freedom. Don't forget it. You can if y'all want this shirt, it's on my website. It's there. You guys can go buy it. It's got a whole back to it. It's got side. Come on, come on. The inside. Come on, we're too fresh. We're fresh to death here. Don't forget it. Ownership is freedom. Hold it this way. Yeah, there you go. Cool. All right. Tesla and SpaceX dominate defense and energy sectors. Now, Tesla, very questionable. I'll say that. They're a part of the Magnificent Seven. They did well, but I still love them as a great EV company. I still see them as like Ford, I would say. So, and the history of their owner, right? Elon did not found Tesla. Let's be clear. He bought it. He got into it after it was founded, but what he's done with it, great. Um, do I think it's a great stock, great position? Not necessarily, but at the same time, I sometimes do think that it's great because it's one of the first and because of the founder, right? It's just like Ford and Henry Ford, right? It's the same thing. If you're so early to the game and you knock it out the park and you do well and all this stuff. So I see if there's a resurgence in EVs, which I do see that coming in the next few years. I see Tesla just being crowned, number one here in America. And in China, the number one company is BYD. Tesla's, they're doing the same thing in China. They're limiting Tesla sales, they're limiting Apple sales, they're doing a lot of stuff to limit American companies, and that's just our trade war that's going on. But their number one company is BYD. Ours, Tesla, has the founder. The founder's got his way into the White House, right? All this monumental stuff, and it just sets Tesla up to be this like golden child for EV here in America. So I could see it being a long term play for sure. Um, I think the I would love the guidance and the leadership to be better in Tesla, especially with Elon and especially with Elon and it's I don't think he could really let it fail just because of how much capital he's got and his affiliation and his influence in other companies. Where I just don't see Tesla crumbling unless the entire EV market crumbles. And like I just mentioned, I see the EV market making a resurgence once people have a little bit more money, once we start redoing all the roads for autonomous driving, which I wholeheartedly believe. I think they're going to redo all the roads in all of America for the lines and stuff like that, and some charging roads too, so that all the EVs can be safe and they can read the roads and read the lines and less crashes and stuff like that. So I see the resurgence of EVs coming back for sure. And then, just as we've mentioned before, we have nuclear power now supporting AI. Well, nuclear power can also support electrical generation for EVs, which we need. If we're going to have more EVs and we're going to change to EVs and we're going to make all the roads EV, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's got an EV charger at their house. We really have to think forward of where this is going. I watched a lot of cartoons growing up, and it's there. They were talking about stuff like this in the 60s and the 50s, I'm sure other people have watched the Jetsons as well and all these other shows, and it's like the future is there. We've already prophesized and talked about it, and the human desire for more and more consumption is never going to go away. More we need more electronic devices. We have more electrical consumption. We need more this. We need more that. We have more humans. We need more food. And it just goes and goes. So I never see it stopping, right? And with these corporations pushing for everything so much, I don't blame us. They know exactly what to do. My thing, like I mentioned before, is hey, I'm a little fish in all this. I'm trying to swim in between the sharks and the whales and just figure out the game and stay out of anyone's way. Pretty much, I'm not trying to get eaten in here. I'm just trying to figure out the game and keep it moving. All right. Oh, so that was a little bit about Tesla. I think SpaceX is going to be a great company once it IPOs. So once it hits its initial public offering and it goes public out there, I think SpaceX is going to be great. Um, and Starlink. I think Starlink is actually going to be the number one um, in the near future, just because it's connectivity. Think about it. You lose signal for an hour, you're going crazy. You know. So imagine just having satcom. Pretty much, Starlink is just satcom, right? Um, and you have Mark Zuckerberg. He's working on basically this huge fiber optic cable. So if Elon's got the skies, Mark wants the ground infrastructure. Because what they're doing is they're controlling the lines of communications. And isn't it a coincidence that Mark Zuckerberg owns Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, and now you've got Elon, he owns X, right? So they're controlling their social media apps, and they're also controlling how data is transferred through all of Starlink's right satellites, and through Mark Zuckerberg his fiber cable that he's building, whatever is this huge cable, land cable that they're trying to build, kind of in response to Starlink, right? So I just see us. I'm not gonna say we need Starlink, but it's providing a use that is better tech. You know, satcom is always better in the military. We attempt to use satcom as best as possible, and that's why you can fly a drone from Langley, Virginia, from DC, and you could be doing a strike right in somewhere in Iraq, right? Because of satcom. It's being bounced up instead of going to radio towers on mountains and then having to make it across, having to go over. A lot of these frequencies, these signals are line of sight. It's just very strong signals being shot very far in off of high places like mountains, um, or they're being relayed in the local area through a net, something like that. But Satcom is the best because it's being straight from your phone up, or from a very close tower straight to the sat, and not across a network, a land based network. So something to think about. I love Starlink. Definitely gonna invest into that when that comes out. SpaceX, if it IPOs, I'm not interested in really investing in that yet. I mean, maybe right? They could really pioneer space travel and get obviously government contracts and stuff like that. So I could see that in the future. To me, it just doesn't interest me as much. And Tesla's okay. I'm not gonna put my eggs in that basket. But if you're thinking pre 1900 and you're thinking of seeing Henry Ford build his Ford factory and stuff like that, there's some similarities there. So, if you could get in cheap at a great price, who knows? All right, so let's keep it moving. Um, a lot of people don't know about what's going on in real estate, in commercial real estate, right? Facing a huge default wave that people haven't been talking about because it's commercial. A lot of us don't, we're not in commercial, right? There are some, they call them family offices. These are family offices of really wealthy people, and they buy commercial buildings, they buy assets and stuff like that. They're very involved in this, right? But us, the common person, we're not going to know too much about big commercial office vacancies and stuff like that. But we do need to take a look at it because office vacancies remain at record highs, right? And we're leading to a surge in loan defaults in these commercial real estate properties, right? So we got places like San Fran and New York that are just getting the brunt of it because that's where a lot of commercial space is. And we've seen how things have changed with COVID, after COVID, during COVID, right? All these things, work from home. Now we're getting people getting called back. There's a lot of variance that we have to consider here, but when you add these dominoes up together, they make an effect, right, to then bring us to possibly a black swan event or a recession or economic downturn, right? It's these small little chips that come together, and individually they may not be the biggest thing, but when we start looking at this picture to get the going from micro to macro, we start understanding and seeing some patterns and trends here. Um, but like I said, San Fran, New York having the biggest hits, with some properties losing over 40% of their value. So think about that. A property that was purchased for 100 mil in 2020, right? They bought it for 100 mil in 2020, pre-COVID, thinking that the market's up. We can only keep going higher than this, right? And then a few years later, they're getting decked. Their loan is maturing. Their office is not being filled. It's not being leased up, and they need money for the maturity of their loan, because that's how these loans work. They usually pull them out for 5 to 7 years, and then the timer comes up, and they have to either sell or move some money around. But what they're counting on is for the appreciation to go up, or for them to have equity. But if they don't have appreciation, and the value of the property hasn't appreciated because of leases, no one's leasing the property, right? All these things, you lost contracts with big companies, all this, right? It doesn't work, and then you most likely have to default on the property, or you have to sell it at a great discount, and that's what we're seeing a lot. So it's something to take a look at, because it's not like, oh, we got one or two foreclosures. No, we're talking about hundreds of millions, billions of dollars in real estate that has been I'm not going to say forgiven, but for a while there was a there was a forgiveness fund, but it had to be paid back. But it hit the time limit anyways. There's a lot of money in there. People don't know how much of these assets are really in there in these portfolios. Like I said, those commercials, so a lot of us don't keep it on our radar, but it relates to banking. And if banking is taking a lot of losses, right, that can affect other things of the economy. We have to realize that banking is really paramount because it's the start of a lot of stuff, right? Stuff's not going in banking's everywhere. Finance, real estate, business, stocks. You can't touch any of those without touching banking. So think about that. Think about the root, and we'll follow up on that. We'll follow up over the next couple weeks, and we'll talk more about what's going on with the commercial real estate space. Let's see. We've already talked about nuclear power. That's something. I see that becoming a big industry. A lot of electricians coming into the space. A lot of infrastructure. Just a whole really re re revamp of the entire American workforce when it comes to the blue collar space. Not saying that nuclear energy is fully blue collar, but I see it as being the start where we have to do all the electrical lines, the entire electrical grid. We do the roads for EV also, and this really just brings a lot of support to the American workforce, right? Reemployment and stuff like that. So if we see all these people leave, right, getting fired because of AI and stuff like that, and maybe they move into these spaces, into being an electrician, into being the workers that build roads, all these technical specialties, right? So I could definitely see that, and I hope there's a push into that space, that there's encouragement and there's grants and there's programs that really encourage people to pick up these trades because we've seen a lot of these trades, they're not in schools anymore, right? And they're not teaching us how to be business owners. They don't want us to be business owners. They don't want you to be independent on what you got going on. They want you to be a slave to them. They want you to go to school, right? Which the school system was made by Henry Ford in his assembly line production line. And that's why in school you have a bell that goes off. That's why you sit at a certain desk. That's why you have evaluations. And the whole point is to them just feed you into the workforce pipeline and to just keep you going down that road. I don't believe in that. I believe that you should learn skills that are particular, unique, and complement you, that you genuinely enjoy, and that can make you great money, whether you're working for someone or working on your own. So I totally support electricians, anyone and everybody that's going to come from hopefully our resurgence of nuclear power and our revamp of the electrical grid. Support you guys 1000%. Fun fact, a lot of y'all may know or may not know that I was an electrician in the military as well. And I mainly worked, I'm not wearing this shirt today, but on jets. Usually I have a fighter jet or something going across my shirt. But I worked on jets. So my experience is I was an electrician. And then I also worked on off-grid electrical systems for RVs and campers and stuff like that. So I have a background in electrical work, and that definitely helps me in real estate and just seeing stuff. There's a lot of stuff in these electrical panels that are very questionable. A lot of questionable outlets, a lot of stuff out there, but it's beautiful to have multiple life experiences and be able to bring them together and really help the other out. All of my military experience gets dumped right into this industry that I'm in now, and my previous experience running my last business, same thing. We're always just transferring all of this information and looking to level up and grow as people, always. All right, what do we got? So that was nuke power. We look. I'm tired of talking about AI, man. Unless it's Allen Iverson, I don't want like. Look, I get it, but we have the rise of AI powered real estate investing, and I've seen it a lot. I've been to a lot of real estate conferences, and it's use this, use our program, use this, all these things. Um, they're great. They are tools in your toolbox, though. If you are not taking action, it doesn't matter what fancy tools you got in your toolbox, it's not going to do nothing. Your tools aren't going to do nothing unless you take action. So I support AI driven platforms that do real estate investing, but we need to also make sure we're doing the work. because you can buy all this stuff, you can have all this stuff, and it's gonna make you feel prepared to. If you're not about action, you're gonna be frozen. So just think about that. Put action in front of those tools and use these AI tools in your toolbox. But you still have to put in the work and have some skill and expertise, right? So these AI driven platforms, they're in real estate and they're providing predictive analytics and market trends, right? Property values and rental demand, right? It's not that new. It's like that's something I would have an assistant do. Hey, go to this website, pull these stats, put it all together. So it's great that they're automating it to a way, making it a lot easier, saving time and energy. Um, but us investors and us realtors as well, lenders, everyone that's in the industry, we look at this data. It is important to take a look at. I just don't necessarily think that AI is needed. AI is the hot word. It's just like .com. It's just like internet back in the day, back in the 90s. It's a hot word. They're gonna put AI on everything. They're probably gonna put AI on who knows on rubbers. They're gonna be like, this rubber got AI, bro. Be like, it's just I seen a AI ad on a golf club. I was like, bro, what? Like, I don't know. I don't know. So there's just too much AI. And I mean that it's the theme. So the U.S. military doubles the AI budget, right? What's that about? The U.S. military doubles the AI budget. So the Department of Defense has announced a record increase in AI spending for battlefield applications. Who would have thought, right? I've been telling you guys from the top of the mountain that this AI race, right, is similar to the space race in decades before, but it's just about tech. It's literally for battlefield operations, right? To make sure military and defense is up, and then for cybersecurity, and then for consumerism for us clients, right, to use on our laptops and to work on our projects. But they really care about AI and tech and these microchips because we can fly aircraft autonomously. We can fly, not fly, but we can operate submarines. And I won't go too deep into some things, but it's all chips. It's all microchips, right? Well, why spend millions of dollars on a pilot, that's a human that has issues and all these things, when you can hire, I mean, you can call it hiring, but you can install a server rack in an AI system and it can control the entire plane through tech, right? And you don't have to lose one life. So it makes sense that they're doubling the AI budget, the DoD, right, Pentagon, um, and I just want you to know that, right? I just want you to know that's where we've been heading. Um, and I do have some insight on that as a previous military drone pilot. I won't go too into details, but the stuff's there and it's been there for years and it's just going to get more and more advanced. All right, not to scare anyone. I just want you to know where this stuff is going and where a lot of this money is actually going into, and kind of just uncover a little bit of what we're actually doing. All right. Man, what else we got here? Um, hmm, man. So the growing threat of economic recession, right? The R word has finally been thrown out there, all right, and we have to talk about it. And there's a lot of analysts that are warning that if the Fed keeps rates high for too long, which this is always an issue, right? Everyone's always got a comment of, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do. Look, unless you're in the Fed and you're Jerome Powell and you actually got to answer to this, it's easy to be an armchair quarterback, 1,000%. But worrying about keeping rates too high for too long. All right, this could tip the economy into recession. I think a bigger concern is the labor market. We really need to look at how many layoffs are going on right now. That's the To me that's a big concern. And we have consumer spending, which is slowing, which is good. And corporate earnings are under pressure. A lot of people don't realize that consumer spending and corporate earnings are drivers of inflation. But the biggest drivers of inflation are corporate spending and government spending, not the consumer. It's not you buying Chick-fil-A. It's not you buying a new car. It's not you buying a new house. But they do that because they changed the rates, right? The Fed funds rates, which changes the mortgage rates, so that you're not buying a house because they don't want to cut their corporate spending or their government spending. No, they rather cut our consumer spending, 330 million Americans, I think 330 million. Um, they would rather us. They don't want to tell Nvidia to stop. Hey, stop making chips. Stop selling chips and stop making money. Right? They're not going to tell the government's not going to tell itself to, hey, stop printing money. No, they're going to come tell us, hey, you guys are spending too much. So we're going to increase rates. We're going to make loans high. We're going to do all this stuff so you can't buy stuff because we need to spend stuff. That's how the game works. And just so you guys know, right? We gotta always know how the game is working. But I don't want you to be scared of a recession. We need mathematically, economically, we need economic downturns, right? You need corrections up and downwards, right? The market knows what it's worth and it's gonna correct itself over time. But sometimes things go a little overdue. A lot of people forget that every 10 years we have a recession. So think about it. If we had 07, 08, that was pretty big. We were supposed to get one around 17, 18, right? But the market was being pushed up super, super high, right? You got crypto going crazy. You got NFTs. I sold my house around that time. It was just crazy. Everything's on fire. Then boom, we have COVID, a big event, right? Now we didn't go into full blown recession though, even with COVID afterwards. So it's like we're wobbling. We got stuck with the good one. We were supposed to get laid out for sure. We know in the 10th round we were supposed to get laid out, but we got up. We got up and we over your shoe came off. Your belt's undone somehow. You like, yo, what? Who? How many people are fighting me right now, right? But we're still in the fight. We're still in the fight. But what I see coming together is these dominoes falling, and unemployment really being the big thing, the big catalyst, um, along with AI really causing it, and then with a national security event, I feel like that's going to push us into the next war, because war generates money. That's what they really want. They want a bunch of money generation. There's a reason why we went straight from the Middle East to Ukraine. It's very, very, we didn't miss a beat. Didn't miss a beat at all. It felt like we, when did we leave war? We never left war. We withdrew a lot of troops. We really, replaced them with Ukrainians, sure. But we're still supplying X amount of money and arms and all this stuff. So we're still playing the war game. Don't think we're not. All right, all right. I don't want to get too deep into that, but recession is possible, right? Recession to me means discount, right? If hopefully you got your job, you got money coming in, you got right. Pray to God, everyone watching this fares out well. But we have to be prepared. If I told you, look, a downturn is coming, I don't know if it's coming in 2 years or it's coming in 40 years, but it's coming, right? Just like God told Noah about the ark, right? The flood is coming, man. I'm giving you the tools to build the boat. I can't tell you if it's going to come in 5 years or in 20 or in 30 years. But when it comes, are you going to be prepared? And are you going to pay attention to the signs that happen right before this type of downturn? People are just in denial to the last moment, to the last moment, to the last moment. Then it's the last moment. And then they're still in denial. They're still in denial. Boom. And now the market's gone up so high, right? The market rebound came up so high. And now they only want to believe when everyone is now back making money. You're too late. You're too late. You didn't make your money on the way in. You got to buy and make your money on the way in and then make money while it's making money. You're trying to make money when everyone and their mama's already making money. You're too late. That makes no sense. You're going to be the last one. You're going to be the last one to buy in, buy high, and then get screwed again because you don't want to pay attention, right? And watch this and learn from the lessons and take yourself serious. I got to put this money into the market. I got to buy stocks. I got to buy businesses. I got to buy real estate, right? I got to buy crypto, right? I have to watch this show weekly. I have to study it. Maybe I take a class. Maybe I start getting with some weekly groups using Meetup and Eventbrite to find local investor groups whatever you like investing in. If it's specifically in real estate, specifically stocks, specifically business, specifically finance and crypto, Get in those spaces, get familiar with this, right? We need to have these conversations, and be serious about it. We really need to be serious about it. So when recessions are coming, just look at it as a possible discount for a lot of stuff, right? We got to buckle up, we got to plan, but we got to see the signs. You got people, Jamie Dimon, Warren Buffett, Mark Zuckerberg, selling tons of their stocks, sitting on cash. Why would they do that? Why would they sell their stocks if they thought a lot of their stocks were still going to go up? Why would they sell a lot of it? They're not selling all of it. Look, they're not selling all of it, but they're selling a lot of it, more than they've ever had on hand. Like look at the whales. We have to look at what the whales and the sharks are doing, and then we have to swim accordingly in order to survive, right? While all the other fish that are just distracted, not even paying attention to this, they're getting eaten up all day left and right, right? We have to figure out the game and learn how to swim, right? So let's do it. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. So what's been going on with these major military helicopter crashes, and the FAA, right? As we've seen when Trump came in, there was a big reshuffle in the FAA. I spoke to a lot of my friends. I have a buddy, on the commercial side. He's flown that route as a commercial airline pilot, and he's also a military helicopter pilot. And another buddy of mine, he's a Black Hawk pilot, right? And I spoke to them, and my background is also military aviation as well. So we have some insights. Now, to think that everything's a conspiracy all the time, look, if you really looked into aviation and how many accidents happen per day, you'd be surprised, right? So I think it was really the media just running with it. Oh, Trump canceled the FAA. Well, all these crashes. It's like, well, I mean, they were already happening. There's a ton of mishaps. Now, I'm not the one to rule out conspiracies about anything. To me, it's let's hear it. Let's hear the conversation. But we many times need to be careful in these situations though, because real people died, and real people aren't here, and those are real families. So it's something to consider. But I'm all for, hey, let's dive deep into stuff of, oh, who was on that helicopter, right? If we're talking about the DC with the commercial plane and the helicopter, right, coming in, well, who was on the helicopter and who was on the plane, and all these things came from it, right? Sure, ask those questions, be curious, follow the money, follow the trail, do your due diligence, of course, 1,000%. But just a note from our side, from military aviation side, mishaps are mishaps, and they happen, right? Follow the money. I'm telling you, follow your ideas, your conspiracies, but look, I don't want you to get to a place where you distrust everything. Then that's kind of where they want you. That's what they were doing with disinformation and fake news. Now it's the point. It's like, what can you trust? So just question it. But when it comes to the stuff, I need you to know on the aviation side that there are mishaps, catastrophes that happen. They just don't get reported on like that much. There's only so much that they can report on. And it's really based off of what you're paying attention to. You may hear, oh, on the radio, Harrison Ford landed his airplane on the highway again. But to you, you may not care because I don't know, why am I doing this? It's on the radio, so it doesn't matter. So just something to consider, y'all. All right. So we had a lot of stuff going on in the last week and last couple weeks. As always, you guys know me, Mercedes the Military Realtor. You can always go and find more information at themilitaryrealtor.us for first-time home buyers, for veterans, for anyone and everyone. I've got free resources there, guides, and some tools too if you're looking to buy and sell real estate. And the best thing there is you can schedule a free consultation with me. No obligation. We talk about anything and everything: real estate, business, stocks, finance, your military career, while you're still going into the military, you're leaving the military, anything and everything. I'm here to be your resource. Like I said, I'm Mercedes, the military realtor, and I am hungry. I'm a little tired, but that's all right. I'm here for you, and I really want you to let me know if this provided value, right? If there was a topic I didn't cover, maybe that you would like me to cover, If there was some type of angle or perspective that I didn't understand, didn't see, I would love for you to comment below where on whatever platform. Just communicate. Let me know. I want to make sure that I'm always providing you value, right? Like I've said before, I'm not here just to talk to myself, right? I'm not the guy that likes to have meetings, I'm not here for that. Please let me know what you would like to know more about when it comes to real estate, business, stocks, and finance. I'm always a valuable asset for you. All right, I'll see y'all next week. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Do what you got to do to help support this channel and let me know that I'm doing a good job in providing content and value for you. All right, so don't forget that real estate creates real wealth and ownership is freedom. All right, y'all. Mercedes, the military realtor. Take care.